Welcome to another Inward Authority meditation. Developing our inward authority with God means we bring our thoughts, beliefs, actions, and faith into improved alignment with God. That means we correct and retrain our thoughts to be in better sync with God. This meditation series will be a guided experience to think deeper about how we can improve with justice. Questions will be asked to help guide to answers. There will be no background music because for some it can be distracting. If you want to, you can add some meditation music in your own background. Pause this podcast whenever you want. We can learn even more through discussing our thoughts and understandings with others. Let's open our minds as unbiased students to hear the truth. Let's reflect, ponder, and meditate upon God's justice. Deuteronomy 32:4. He is the rock. His work is perfect, for all his ways are justice. A God of truth and without injustice. Righteous and upright is he. BibleHub.com says this about the word justice. The original Hebrew and Greek words are the same as those rendered righteousness. It says the same as those rendered righteous. So what is righteous or righteousness? It's essentially being right by God's standards, or right godly action. InwardAuthority.com has a podcast about righteousness and goes deeper into it. You can find it in the Salvation Series Episode 4. Another way to learn is to do a concordance study using the word righteous and identify patterns, both of which can be found at InwardAuthority.com. Let's now set our thoughts toward God's character or righteousness, love, peace, truth, justice, mercy, patience, compassion, forgiveness, generosity, and the like. What do these feel like when we live by them? Imagine making such character your character, little by little each day. What thoughts come to your mind? Is it well received? Kinder received? Or is the idea set aside, postponed, or put off? Take a moment, pause, and share. Being just is to be right with God. To serve justice is to serve by God's righteousness. Because we all sin, our righteousness will be imperfect. Here are some questions to meditate on. Can we improve with God's righteousness? Are we willing to apply ourselves more with God's righteousness? Can we be more sincere, honest, patient, peaceful, forgiving, merciful, and compassionate? What is one simple way we can grow in it? Take a moment, pause, and share. How important is it to our faith to keep God within our thoughts, words, choices, and actions? How much energy, time, and action do we invest to think about God? Can we do it while showering, driving, walking, brushing our teeth, or taking out the trash? Can we think about setting our hearts and minds to be with God's character each and every day? Does it cost money? Why wouldn't we grow our thoughts with God? Why wouldn't we think about God when we could? Take a moment, pause, and share. How different would our lives be if we embraced the humbling of ourselves, sought love and peace in our thoughts, actions, words, and attitude? Think about it. If we were peaceful, would we hurry? Would we worry? If we were loving, would we complain, blame, or argue? Could we be more peaceful in our thinking, in our actions, in our words? Does God want us to have more love and peace within us? Would a life with more love and peace be more right with God? Would that be justice or righteous? Take a moment, pause, and share. Deuteronomy 16:19. You shall not pervert justice. You shall not show partiality, nor take a bribe, for a bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and twists the words of the righteous. It says you shall not show partiality. But what is that? What does it mean? Is it something we are supposed to do or not do? James 2:9. But if you show partiality, you commit sin and are convicted by the law as transgressors. BibleHub.com defines partiality as respect of persons and respect to the outward circumstances of men and not to their intrinsic merits. Let's repeat that second part. Respect to the outward circumstances of men and not to their intrinsic merits. What are outward circumstances? What are intrinsic merits? What does this mean to respect outwardness and not inwardness? Please read together Luke 18:9 through 14. Meditate upon the inwardness of the two characters. How would you describe their inward conditions using character traits? There is a helpful reference page on character traits available at inwardauthority.com. Go to Align with God, then down to Good Daily Practices and scroll to the bottom of the page. Take a moment, pause, and share. Partiality is respect to the outward circumstances of men and not to their intrinsic merits. Do we discern outwardness, inwardness, both, or neither? Do we judge based upon appearances before getting to know people? Do we prefer smiles over frowns? Do we discern carefully intrinsic merits or how others make us feel? Are we quick to form opinions about others? BibleHub.com adds this statement: prefers as the more worthy one who is rich, high-born, or powerful, to another who is destitute of such gifts. Do we prefer doctors, those high in positions, or those who are more popular? What did Jesus focus on in others? What sort of character did Jesus respect? Did Jesus respect those with good hygiene, nice clothes, or fancy things? Did Jesus respect the Pharisees and the Sadducees and those who were higher up in the status? Did Jesus focus more upon intrinsic merits or outward circumstances? Which do we think more about, our outward appearance to others or our inward appearance? When we get ready for our day, how much time do we spend fixing our outsides, teeth, hair, clothes, car, skin, etc., versus our insides? Peace, love, sincerity, compassion, mercy, forgiveness, etc. How can we become more attentive to our inward heart, mind, attitude, and soul? Would daily meditation upon such things help? Take a moment, pause, and share. Then read Matthew 6:25 to 34. Let's look at Isaiah 30:18. Therefore the Lord will wait, that he may be gracious to you, and therefore he will be exalted, that he may have mercy on you. For the Lord is a God of justice. Blessed are all those who wait for him. Let's ponder the message about God here. The Lord is a God of justice. Blessed are all those who wait for him. It says, blessed are all those who wait for him. What is it like to wait? How do we feel waiting when things are going slower than we want them to? Do we get anxious or do we feel peaceful? Does God want us to wait? Does justice or righteousness involve patience? Is waiting good? Could we improve our inwardness as we wait? Could we be more loving and peaceful when we wait? Psalm 27:14. Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. The word blessed means happy. The Bible describes how we can grow happiness. Are we willing and ready to follow the Bible's instructions to grow happiness? Are we willing and ready to give ourselves over to grow more justice and righteousness inwardly, to be more happy? Romans 12:11, for there is no partiality with God. Partiality is, remember, respect to the outward circumstances of men and not to their intrinsic merits. If we are increasingly abiding with God, what would our thoughts, words, and actions look like? What would relationships be like? Would God be more of a focus in our daily activities? Matthew 6:33. But seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. Let's ponder how we can seek first God's righteousness. What would we think about? When would we think it? Will we need to make reminders or prompts to get with God and wait for God? How many reminders would be best? Would morning, noon, and evening reminders be good? Would praying for guidance and taking time to listen with all our senses be helpful? Remember, we're to love God with all our heart, all our mind, all our soul. Would being in connection with others doing the same thing be helpful? Does it help to have other people who are doing it around to talk about these things together? Take a moment, pause, and share. If there are two people asking for help, where one appeared to be poor and another well off, and we could only help one, which one would we help? Which one would God want us to help? Think about this. Pause and share. Exodus 23:3. You shall not show partiality to a poor man in his dispute. Leviticus 19:15. You shall do no injustice in judgment. You shall not be partial to the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty. In righteousness you shall judge your neighbor. It says, in righteousness you shall judge your neighbor. This principle of justice with no partiality is to seek God's righteousness, which is more about inward conditions than our outward presentations. We can improve our discernment about inward conditions by growing our own inward conditions through experiences of God's character and righteousness. If we are thinking about and practicing more righteousness, seeking first God's righteousness, we're going to learn more about it. We're going to understand it deeper. And if we understand it deeper, we'll be better discerners of it. We'll be able to recognize it better in other people. There seems to be an expression used a lot, maybe in media, saying, don't judge, like we're not supposed to judge. We are to discern, which in a sense is judging. We're to decide what's good and what's evil. We're to know good and evil. We're to judge it. We need to judge, but we need to judge with love, patience, gentleness, kindness, and peacefulness. We judge by mercy and forgiveness. That means we need to learn character, and the best way to learn anything is through experience. Let's experience God's character, righteousness, and justice. It begins with us thinking more about it, exploring it, pondering how we can participate in it with our words, our attitude, our actions. Let's think about how each day we can grow in it. Let's wait for God. Let's discuss it with other people. Let's share our questions, our confusion, our frustration, our fear. Let's process these things together. Let's grow together. May God bless you, calm you, and soothe you in your heart, mind, and soul. Thank you for listening.